everybody? It's JetsCentral coming back with the 2019 NFL midseason mock draft. Okay, yes, I do know it's extremely early for an NFL mock draft. I get it. I understand it. But at the same time, I love doing this stuff. I love doing the mock drafts. I love trying to project the future. I mean, the NFL draft is like one of my favorite days of the year. It's just an awesome day. And I figured, you know what? It's the midway point, halfway point of the NFL season. I'm going to do a midseason mock draft, have some fun with it. Think it'd be pretty cool, pretty interesting, hopefully for you guys as well. So I came up with the top 20 picks. I'm only going to do the top 20. Going to leave out the playoff teams. And by no means am I hating on anybody's team out there. Basically, what I did to come up with the draft order, I just took the winning percentages. So in reality, it's just if the season were to end today, this is the current draft order or the top 20 of the NFL draft order. So first team, it's the Oakland Raiders. I have them selecting defensive tackle out of Houston, Ed Oliver. Okay, Ed Oliver is a guy, 6'3", around 290 pounds, absolute beast. Okay, and I know a lot of Raiders fans that could be watching this video could be saying to themselves, this guy's an idiot. They need an edge rusher, right? Nick Bosa's on the board. A lot of people have Nick Bosa ranked as as their number one overall player in the draft. Obviously the little brother of Joey, but in this case, Ed Oliver, he's my personal number one player in this draft. I think the Oakland Raiders, you take a look at the defense, they're old. You need to be able to stop the run, okay? That's the one thing that John Gruden always talks about. And in a pass rush heavy draft, I think Ed Oliver, the number one defensive tackle in the draft, is a must to clog up the middle of the field. Or the interior of the defensive line. He does such a tremendous job of doing that. He's a great leader. He was a 5-star defensive tackle to commit to Houston, which is a group of 5 school. I think that shows really just where his mental game is. This guy's a complete leader. He will take this Oakland Raiders defense. He will be. It's kind of ironic, too, because they just traded away Khalil Mack. But in many cases, Ed Oliver and Khalil Mack are kind of the same mentally. Both are great leaders. Both will rally the guys. Both played at a group of 5 schools. So I think Ed Oliver, you have to be able to stop the run. He also creates pressure up the middle, pressure up the A gap, pressure up the B gap. So Ed Oliver, I think, is a slam dunk pick. And you're also pairing him up next to last year's, I believe, 5th-round choice, Mo Hurst. This guy was rated as a first-round pick until he had that one condition at the Combine. So all of a sudden, you're looking at the interior of the Oakland Raiders defense. They have 2 young studs if they go with Ed Oliver. So moving on to pick number 2, I got the New York Giants selecting quarterback out of Oregon, Justin Herbert. Now, first things first, I need to throw in this quick little disclaimer. It's still a toss-up whether or not Justin Herbert will come back to school. But overall, Herbert right now is looking like the top quarterback in this class. The New York Giants they didn't want to rebuild, they want to reload. They drafted Saquon Barkley 2nd overall last year, and he's looking like a great pick. Okay, but there's been a lot of chatter amongst the Giants fans, maybe a little bit of buyer's remorse when it comes to Barkley. Should they have drafted maybe Rosen? Should they have drafted Josh Allen or Sam Darnold? I know there's some people out there saying that because Eli Manning, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback and whatnot. Obviously, he's done a lot of great things in the NFL, but his time is up. Okay, his time is up in New York. They need to move on with somebody else, whether it's a free agent, whether it's a trade. In this scenario, I have him going Herbert, 6'6" kid out of 215 out of Oregon. He's also mobile too, so I think and he's also good off the field too. He's a student of the game. I think he'll come into the New York Giants locker room and just have a lot of weapons obviously around him. It's an easy place for him to succeed. Obviously a top 5 wideout in Beckham and a top 6 running back in Saquon Barkley. Obviously the team has a lot of holes, but you got to move forward with the quarterback. Herbert's on the board. Technically he'd be the quarterback 1 as far as this scenario goes. Like I said, we're halfway point of the NFL season, so take it how you want it, but right now it's Herbert. So moving on, we got the San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers, I have them going defensive end out of Ohio State / edge rusher, Nick Bosa. Okay, the little brother of Joey Bosa. I know I touched on it before. Nick Bosa is an absolute stud. He can get after the passer. He's so strong at the point of attack. He's 6'4", 270 pounds. The guy was built to play defensive end. And you take a look at the San Francisco 49ers defensive line. They have invested first-round pick after first-round pick after first-round pick in this line. Eric Armstead, Solomon Thomas, DeForest Buckner. They now have an opportunity to add Nick Bosa. rated by most as the number one player in this draft. Not on my personal board, but I mean, if you can get the number one player, by most at spot number 3, and it's a position of need, whenever you can get a top pass rusher or the top pass rusher in the draft at spot number 3, and like I said, it's a need for the team, I think you have to do it. I know the 49ers need some help on the wide receiving or at the wide receiving position. They also need to get some help in the secondary. But as of right now, where they are on the board, looking at best player available, team need, the pick has to be Nick Bosa. So moving on, we got the Arizona Cardinals 4th. I have them selecting left tackle out of Alabama, Jonah Williams. Okay, Jonah Williams is a guy who obviously has the strength. He obviously has the size, and he also brings a winning pedigree to an Arizona Cardinals team right now that I feel like is in a little bit of a flux. The Cardinals, whenever I watch the Cardinals play, it just looks like they've already given up on the season, and that's just not good, okay? Josh Rosen is the prized asset of this team. I know a lot of people like Patrick Peterson. A lot of people were in love with Tyrann Mathieu, but as of right now, Josh Rosen is the face of this franchise moving forward. How do you let Josh Rosen have the most success possible? You have to protect him. He has to be upright. He cannot be hurt. He's an injury-prone quarterback. He's not a mobile dual-threat guy. So protecting Josh Rosen, you're now selecting the best left tackle in the draft, rated by most as the number 1 left tackle. And Jonah Williams has had a lot of success, 6'5", 302. So I like that size. And he's athletic as hell. So... and obviously he's coming from a winning program, and he's a great leader. So you're getting a very solid foundation or a very solid pillar on the offensive line. So Jonah Williams to the Arizona Cardinals. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills selecting left tackle. Again, back-to-back left tackles out of Ole Miss, Greg Little. This guy's my number 1 left tackle on the board, and if he's on the board when the Jets are picking, I think this should be a no-brainer, but as of right now, he's going 5th to the Buffalo Bills. He's 6'6", 325 pounds. Greg Little, the former number 1 player in high school. I love Greg Little. He's an absolute stud. His size is just, he's just a mammoth out there on manning the left tackle position. He's done so many great things, whether it's in pass pro or run blocking. The guy is an NFL talent. I think he's going to go to Buffalo. It's kind of same situation like Arizona, where you have to protect your number 1 asset, your prize jewel of the team. And for Buffalo, it's Josh Allen, first round pick of last year. You got to protect him. So getting Greg Little in the building, you're upgrading at the position. It's a position of need. You're helping out Josh Allen. I think, again, this is a home run pick for Buffalo. So moving on, we got the Indianapolis Colts, and I have them selecting Devin White. Devin White, the inside linebacker from LSU, okay? This guy, we're going to watch him tonight. Tonight's Saturday. Alabama's going to take on LSU in Death Valley. Man, Devin White is an absolute beast, okay? Devin White is a guy. He's 6'1". He's on the lighter end, okay? He's not a Patrick Willis type of inside linebacker. He's more of what you'd see in a Roquan Smith. So he's a little bit quicker. He's extremely fast from sideline to sideline. But from top to bottom, Devin White, he's a great leader too. He's going to go to the Indianapolis Colts right now. He's going to go to this team and provide them with leadership, provide them with, or he's a really prideful guy. So he's going to go to this or enter this Colts locker room, really prideful, really just be a shock of energy to this Colts defense, which is young and upcoming. You have guys on that defense like Darius Leonard making a case for Defensive Rookie of the Year, Quincy Wilson on the outside, Malik Hooker free safety. So you're adding a very, very talented player to this Colts defense. So moving on, we got the Cleveland Browns. I have them going cornerback out of Georgia, DeAndre Baker. Okay, DeAndre Baker is my favorite cornerback in this draft. Okay, DeAndre Baker is an absolute stud. He's 5'11", I believe 180, 185-ish. So he has decent size, but he is long, he is physical. He will press you. He does well in man-on-man or in zone coverage. He's a physical corner, like I said. He could keep up with anybody. When quarterbacks target him, well, as far as last season goes, they had a 40 quarterback ranking against him. And I'm not a big stat guy, and I actually hate that stat, but I do think that's a pretty interesting statistic to bring up. Another thing, too, is that he didn't even allow a touchdown last season when targeted. Okay, so now you're adding DeAndre Baker, a physical cornerback, to the Browns' secondary room, along with last year's 4th overall choice, Denzel Ward out of Ohio State. A guy who's had a lot of success this season. So now you're looking at this Browns defense. You have Baker, a top 10 pick, and now you have Ward, a top 10 pick. That could be incredible for the next 10 years. You look at the New York Jets, Jamal Adams, Marcus May doubling down with safeties. The Cleveland Browns could do that back-to-back years with cornerback. So pretty interesting stuff. So moving on, we got the New York Jets. Okay, our New York Jets are on the clock. And this one was actually pretty tough, because there was a lot of guys on the board that I thought that the Jets could use here. But I ended up going with edge rusher / outside linebacker Brian Burns of Florida State. I mean, this guy is so fun to watch at Florida State. He's around 6'5". 6'5", 235, somewhere around that range. He's extremely athletic. He is so fast off the ball. He's one of the best jumps. He plays in a 3-4 system at Florida State, which is perfect for what Todd Bowles wants to do. And to be honest with you, is between Brian Burns and Josh Allen from Kentucky. Another perfect fit. I don't think the Jets could go wrong with either of them. But I felt as though at this point in the draft, Brian Burns, if he's sitting there on the board, he could come in, and he also gives the New York Jets that versatility too. He kind of plays that elephant position, the Leo position, where he can either be the stand-up outside linebacker, or he could be the hand-in-the-dirt edge rusher that you'd see kind of like a Vic Beasley, just a traditional 4-3 edge rusher. So he is versatile. He has the size. He has the speed to play the position, and he obviously has the production. I mean, this guy's racking up so many sacks this season, and he's just so fun to watch. Brian Burns, I know the Seminoles are having a down year, but Brian Burns is an absolute stud. And if the New York Jets want to select Burns, I mean, I'd be ecstatic. I think he's going to be a great player. Reminds me a lot of Dante Fowler when Fowler was at UF. Not, LA Ram, Jacksonville Jaguar Fowler, but more when Fowler was at UF. They have a lot of the same, skill sets, just as far as versatility matched with strength and speed. So Brian Burns to the New York Jets. Next up, Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, the Jaguars are obviously having a very weird season. I do think they'll turn it around eventually. But as far as today goes, I'm going offensive tackle, left tackle, whatever you want to call it, left tackle, right tackle. Dalton Risner. Okay, from Kansas State. This is a guy who has had a ton of success at Kansas State. Okay, he's had tons and tons of success, and being that 6'5", 6'5", 300+ guy, the Jacksonville Jaguars need to build up this offensive line. I was thinking quarterback, but at this point in the draft, I don't want to say Drew Lock, I don't want to say Clayton Thorson, I don't want to say Will Grier. Okay, I think for value, speaking of value, I think you have to go with a tackle in this position. Maybe you can look at running back, but is there a running back worth taking this high? I would have to say no. So I'm looking at Risner right now. I think that this would be a good fit for Jacksonville. There's been a lot of locker room drama, surrounding this Jaguar team. Risner comes in as a very mature guy. He's a great leader. He was first team All-American, and I think this would just be a home run hit for Jacksonville, whether you want to play him at left tackle or right tackle. So he also gives you that versatility. So moving on, we get the Denver Broncos, and I have him selecting cornerback Greedy Williams from LSU. This guy's rated as the #1 corner on pretty much every scout's board. A lot of the draft experts and stuff out there have Greedy Williams as the #1 guy, and rightfully so. I mean, he has the size. He's 6'3", 180, and kind of like in the same case as Baker, he does really well in man coverage and in zone coverage. He's just extremely versatile. It's funny. Greedy Williams is actually one of the rare cases where anytime the LSU defense plays, doesn't matter who they're playing, Greedy Williams is the best athlete on the field at all times. Similar to ex-LSU Tiger Patrick Peterson and ex-LSU Tiger Morris Claiborne back, in their college days, where they're just so athletic that you can they just make such a big impact on the game. So Greedy Williams, he has the size, he has the production, and he's now entering a Denver Broncos team. With the departure of Aqib Talib, you're now pairing him up next to Bradley Roby and Chris Harris. Okay, two proven very good cornerbacks. So you're going to that the Mile High Stadium. You already have Von Miller, a top 6 player in the NFL, probably the second best or third best defensive player, I should say. And you picked Bradley Chubb in the top 5 last year, and Bradley Chubb's looking like a beast. Keep adding on to the Denver Bronco defense. They're kind of the same situation that Jacksonville is in. Do you need a quarterback? But I like Case as of right now. You got to go best player on the board. It's Greedy Williams all day. Okay, all day. So next up, we got the Tennessee Titans. I'm going N'Keal Harry, wide receiver from Arizona State. This guy's the number 1 wide receiver in the class. He reminds me of a less explosive Odell Beckham Jr. He's 6'4", so he's bigger than Odell. But this guy's an absolute beast, okay? Herman Edwards is his coach, and I've actually caught a lot of the Arizona State games, the late-night Pac-12 games. I mean, this guy, when he's on one-on-one matchups, it's so fun to watch him, especially when he's in the red zone. This guy can make, he wins at the 50-50 balls. I do somewhat question his separation abilities. Same with actually another wide receiver I have later on in this draft. But as of right now, Harry's the number 1 wide receiver. You look at the Tennessee Titans, they need help. They need help on the offensive side of the football. You cannot just rely on Derrick Henry and the smash mouth running game all game, every game, because as we've all seen this year, the Tennessee Titans have had a very difficult time putting up points. Their wide receivers cannot get open. When they do get open, they drop the ball. Corey Davis was a top 5 pick 2 years ago. Or last year, actually, out of Western Michigan. And, he has the size, he has the speed. I do like that. But as of right now, if you could pair up Harry with Davis on the outside, and if Davis continues to grow and just kind of, just like I said, just grow into his own a little bit, I think this Tennessee Titans offense, just adding Harry to this Titans offense, Matt LaFleur's offense, I think it could take the Titans offense from here to here. So, huge pickup right here. Huge pickup. So moving on, we got the Oakland Raiders again. As we all know, remember, they traded away Khalil Mack. They traded away Amari Cooper. So they have multiple first round picks. And in this draft, we only have the Raiders picking 2 because technically the Chicago Bears have a higher winning percentage than 20 teams. So this is going to be the Raiders' last pick in this draft. And I have them selecting Josh Allen, the outside linebacker from Kentucky. Okay, we addressed the interior of the defensive line earlier, selecting Ed Oliver. They also need a pass rush. Okay, they also need the pass rush. I really like the selection last year of Arden Key. This guy, I think, who was, again, considered by most as a first-round talent. If he can continue to grow, if he can continue to just get stronger and just be a student of the game, which was a question mark of Arden Key. Some people question his love of the game and how committed is Arden. But if you can now pair up Arden Key, who's already an Oakland Raider, next to Josh Allen, okay, 3-4 outside linebacker who's extremely fast. He gets from sideline to sideline, right, the horizontal speed. He's extremely quick. He's dominated the SEC for the past 2 seasons, okay? Josh Allen, Butkus semi-finalist award. This guy's the real deal. He's a leader. He obviously has experience playing against, guys like Greg Little, guys like Jonah Williams, great offensive lines. Kentucky's in the SEC. They're going up against top ranked guys. And for Josh Allen to have that much production, I like it. All of a sudden, you're looking at the Oakland Raiders defense, the oldest team in the league, mind you. They got a lot younger, okay? A lot younger, a lot more explosive, a lot more faster, okay? So I think these are 2 great picks for the Oakland Raiders. You're addressing leadership, you're addressing the pass rush, you're addressing the the ability to stop the run, okay? So both picks. Fantastic for the Oakland Raiders. Good job, John Gruden. So next up, we get the Detroit Lions. I'm going Clelin Ferrell, the defensive end from Clemson. Now, I'm not as sold on Ferrell as many people are, but I think right now, you take a look at Detroit, they're in a weird spot. They have amazing wins this year, beating the New England Patriots, beating the Green Bay Packers. But they also have horrible losses, when they lost to the New York Jets, when they lost, the Lions are just such a weird team right now. I think they lost to the San Francisco 49ers as well. So they're a weird team. I feel like they don't really have an identity. the Detroit Lions might also lose Ziggy Ansah to free agency. Okay, so I'm thinking like, okay, they went out and acquired Snacks, but then they ship off Golden Tate, so they could be thinking wide receiver here if they want to go for need. But I feel like best player available, and if they lose out on Ansah, they might want to secure that pass rusher. Ferrell is a guy who's proven he's 6'4", 265, and he's played at the highest level and he's dominated at the highest level, with Clemson, and Clemson has pumped out tons of great defensive linemen / pretty much NFL defensive players. So I like that from a defensive edge rushing standpoint for Detroit. So moving on, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I'm going Deontay Thompson, safety from Alabama. Huge pickup for the Bucs. They need help in a lot of different areas. Quarterback being one. What's going to happen with Jameis Winston? What's happening with Fitzmagic? Is he back? What's the plan moving forward? Dirk Cutter, will he be the head coach? I don't know. Does anybody know? Probably not. But the one thing that they can count on is that Deontay Thompson is a great player, okay? So when you're selecting Thompson, he's not only a great player, but he's a safe player. He flies around the field. He's an absolute ball hawk. So what you're getting in Tampa Bay is a proven guy. You're not getting a risky wild card type of player. You're getting a proven player that's won games. Like I said, tackle machine. He's going to fly around the field, and he's going to be the anchor of the defense. Playing that back-end safety role, he's going to be a great pickup for Tampa Bay. And the Bucs defense needs help. They need guys that can fly around, guys that can make plays. I think Thompson does provide that. I mean, he's 6'2". Obviously won a ton of games. He's been a huge impact for the Alabama Crimson Tide. I believe he actually leads the team in tackles right now, somewhere in the 40s. So anyway, I like Thompson to Tampa Bay. So moving on, we got the Atlanta Falcons. This could be the steal of the draft. Atlanta Falcons going Rashan Gary, defensive tackle out of Michigan. This guy can be a top 5 pick easily. This guy is an absolute stud. Former #1 player in high school out of New Jersey, commits to Michigan, when Harbaugh got the job there. Guy's an absolute stud. Okay, he's still young. He does have the size, but you can tell he's still kind of growing. Right? He might not be he might start off the season, right, his NFL career kind of slow just because he's still really young. I don't think he's developed into his body yet. He needs to get a little bit stronger. Needs to win at the point of attack a little bit more. But Gary right now, from a talent perspective, from a ceiling perspective, I think at this point in the draft, the Atlanta Falcons already secured their pass rushers with Tack McKinley, first rounder, and Vic Beasley, who's a first rounder. I think now it's time to address the interior of the defensive line, help stop the run. I think Rashan Gary, like I said, the former #1 player in high school, has had a huge impact for Michigan. Don Brown in that defense. I think this could be a slam dunk for Atlanta, especially this late in the draft. So next we get the Miami Dolphins. I'm going wide receiver. Okay, wide receiver Kelvin Harmon from NC State. This guy, to be quite honest with you, I hate projecting him to the Dolphins because I love Harmon. He reminds me of a younger, earlier Dez Bryant, right? When Dez Bryant first couple seasons in Dallas. He's just has great hands, great at the 50-50 jump balls. The dude is an absolute alpha. He's a man amongst boys. Whenever you watch him play, whenever he's in a one-on-one matchup, it's just a treat to watch. So I think he actually put up 200 yards last week against, I believe, Syracuse, but I could be wrong. The guy's a beast, okay? And the Miami Dolphins, they need help on the outside. Devontae Parker, there's a little bit of bad blood there. He hasn't really worked out. They do have Amendola, but he's more of an inside guy. Overall, you need that #1 if you're Miami. You're uncertain about who your quarterback is going to be moving forward. Ryan Tannehill is dealing with a huge injury right now. You got to get some help on the outside. You got to do it. And at this point in the draft, Harmon is sitting here. You might as well take him. So next up, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. Running back, Benny Snell. Benny Snell, okay, from Kentucky. When I look at this Philadelphia Eagles team, I see a very complete team. They're coached well. They have their quarterback. They have their left tackle. They got a few edge rushers. The defense is actually, one of the better defenses in the league. They have their offensive weapons. I think one major piece that this Eagles team is missing is the consistent run game, right? They have Jachai, but he's hurt. I know they took the kid Donnell Pumphrey from San Diego State a few drafts back. He's not really the answer there. Darren Sproles, obviously he's going to be, obviously he's an old player. I think he's going to retire at the end of the season. So the Philadelphia Eagles right now, they need that workhorse running back. With Ajayi coming back, Benny Snell Kentucky, they under Stoops, obviously they run that wide open spread system, so he's used to taking handoffs out of the shotgun. And I know the Philadelphia Eagles, they like to run a lot of that 2-3 tight end sets with the running back in the backfield. I think he's a good system fit. I think he's a very good runner between the tackles, and he's also effective on third down. So Jachai and Benny Snell would be a nice running back tandem for the Philadelphia Eagles. So next up, we got the Baltimore Ravens. Montez Sweat, outside linebacker / defensive end out of Mississippi State. Okay, a guy, 6'6", 240 pounds, has dominated the SEC, okay, at Mississippi State. I look at this Baltimore Ravens defense, and you could be sitting there saying to yourself, why are they going defense? They already have a great defense. They already have great corners. They already have great linebackers. The point is that Montez Sweat, this point in the draft, when you're sitting this low and you have a player of Sweat's caliber on the board, you've got to take him. It's the best player available by far. Montez Sweat is an absolute stud, okay? He's wrecked offensive lines. The guy's a great player. And if the Baltimore Ravens can land him, it would be huge. It would be absolutely huge. So Montez Sweat, if you don't know him, go check him out, on YouTube or something like that. I don't know, like highlight videos. The guy's an absolute beast. And the Baltimore Ravens fans out there, I mean, first team SEC too. Last year, the guy's a great player. He's a stud. So next we get the Green Bay Packers. Okay, the Green Bay Packers, Noah Fant, 6'5" tight end out of Iowa. This guy he's a catch machine. He's a matchup nightmare. Okay, and one problem of the Green Bay Packers is, they don't really have the consistent defensive play. It's just not there. You got to get Aaron Rodgers some weapons. Okay, so I know they have Jimmy Graham. I know they have Devontae Adams, but it's just not enough. I think Fant from Iowa just gives you so much versatility up the middle of the field, down the seam, and it's just a treat to watch him play. For Iowa, they get him the football constantly. I don't want to say he's Rob Gronkowski, but he presents a lot of the same problems that Gronk brings to the table for the New England Patriots. So if the Packers can get a guy like that, I think that would just be a huge help for this Packers team. So last but not least, we got the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm selecting defensive end / outside linebacker from UF. And his name is, it's kind of hard to pronounce. It's Jachai Polite. Okay, this guy, very athletic defensive end. You'll take a look at this Minnesota Vikings team, and they have the great defense. They have their quarterback play, or quarterback in play with Kirk Cousins. Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs, they're set at wide receiver. Dalvin Cook is a solid running back. They could maybe use some help on the interior of that offensive line. But as of right now, I look at one big question mark, okay? It's outside linebacker, especially if Anthony Barr leaves. If Anthony Barr leaves, which it's looking like that's going to be real because they just don't have the money to pay him, he's going to hit the free agency market. They're going to need a huge body to step in and to fill Anthony Barr's role. I mean, those are big shoes to fill. And I know Barr struggles in pass coverage, but he's really good when his back is towards the end zone and he has everything out in front of him. He could get after the passer. He's really good, like I said, from sideline to sidelines. He's one of those types of players. Sets the edge great at the point of attack, just struggles in coverage. If they lose a player like that, they're going to need somebody to step up. What better player than an extremely athletic guy? He's kind of a late bloomer onto the scene, somewhat kind of like Taven Bryan of last year out of UF as well. But this guy comes in and he's going to have like I said, big shoes to fill, but he can do it. Okay, this guy is extremely athletic. So just a name to watch. And yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Probably get some hate on some of these picks, but remember, it's just the midseason, and we're having fun with it. It's just some basic picks, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And thanks so much for sticking around. As always, like I said, and by the way, I appreciate it. It's a going on 30-minute video. If you guys stuck around to the end, it truly does mean the world to me. Midway through the NFL regular season, and you're watching a video on an NFL mock draft. Means the world. Absolutely means the world. So thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, go Jets.